Welcome, welcome. I see you coming. Thank you for being here. I'll wait like another 30 seconds just to let everyone connect and then I will start. So these should be sharp 15 minutes from the moment I start presenting. Of course, if you have any question, let me know. And yeah, I will ask that later and or in the comments. And with that, I think we can start. Oh, look, if you follow the space, artificial intelligence is quite a hot topic, to be an understatement. And in the company AI Technology, by the way, I'm Chief AI Officer down there, we publish every year the state of AI, which is quite every January, which is quite a lengthy, document to read, at least if you want to read in detail. What we thought about is to give a format in which, especially with busy professionals, they don't have the time to, to dedicate to read a lot of artificial intelligence. You understand what that means. To have a short, concise 50-minute takes. The plan is to do once every month or every 2 months to give an idea what is going to happen in the market. Okay. But there are three elements to consider in our opinion. One is hardware, the other is the advancement in the models, basically the software, and three is the adoption. Okay. Now, in these 15 minutes, now it's 14, 1 minute already talked, I'm going to give you the overview. So you should have an understanding today, 30 October 2024, where are we? Where are we in kind of AI development in these three categories, okay? One is hardware, second is AI models, the advancement on that, and the third is adoption, both consumer and industry. Okay, cool. With that, let's start with the slides. And so, if you're familiar what we do here, especially in our state of our report, there is not much time on that, but I think it's best to remember what we consider the tomorrow context equation. To understand today and especially have a hint of what happens tomorrow, we consider what is called the secular trend, which means trends that happen in 10 years or more and they develop in 10 years or more. Catalyst trend, trends that develop in 5 years or less. Yeah. And based on this, basically, this is the context: secular trend plus catalyst trend give hints what the market is today and the market will be in a few years from now. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna have too much time to explain all the trends, both secular and catalyst. I'll give you an overview in few minutes. So just to set up the conversation. One is human machine hybridization. Basically, we are interfacing more and more with technology gadget. We started for the mobile phone. If you want to start with that, you can even start before, by the way, for the PC, for example, in the 80s. And then going forward, we now have obviously ChatGPT, virtual headset like the Apple Vision Pro and things like that. Okay, this is a trend. It's a secular trend. It's gonna continue more than 10 years from now. Okay. Aging is another trend that is really affecting technology. I don't have much time to explain that, but again, aging is something that happens in all world. By the way, yes, Africa is less impacted by that, but it's the fertility rate is quite high, but still decreasing. By some aspect that affect a lot our usage of technology. Governance, yes, EU AI Act is, has been just approved in the 1st of August this year, 2024, and there are other jurisdictions that are going, some sort of regulation. I don't have the time to explain that, but this is also impacting the market. But this is a catalyst trend, yes, it's something that affect the market and in 5 years or less. Another trend is the synthetic data generation. You may remember a few years ago, there was kind of a trend of big data, data is oil, or things like that. It's kind of been above his hype, let's put it that way. There were kind of a myth conception about what is really important in the data, things like that. But there is new way to generate data that overcome certain problem on data lacking or data, how would I say, data importance in certain situation like cybersecurity. You cannot predict attack that have never been done before. Like you cannot, literally, you cannot predict what the future hacker will do. So you need to generate data, synthetic data to test certain attack that never been done before. Uh, Again, another catalyst trend. So 5 years or less is the cloud adoption. Yeah, this is very related to AI. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But the important thing here is to understand that yes, we all are familiar with using any sort of cloud, for storing data, for example, or our personal data, Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever you're using. But this is a trend that is going to continue for the last 3 years, is impacting a lot the AI market and the overall, consumer industry market. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And the hardware around energy consumption, I think, at least if you heard some news, sometimes obviously be always careful when you read the news, especially the title of the news. Yeah. But yes, there is an element of truth in there in terms of AI, hardware, and energy consumption. I'm going to talk that in a moment, what the status is today. But again, this is a trend catalyst. So a trend is developing 5 years or less. Then the supply chain localization. Obviously, after COVID and the various lockdown, we have this phenomenon of localization of the workforce, and the supply chain is now shorter. I mean, close to whatever we need to provide the service and or the product. I'm going to touch that later. And the AI investment. AI investment is still very high, but it's very concentrated in few unicorns or soon to be unicorn. And this is going to continue I would say, in the last few years for various reasons. I don't have time to take it now, but still a capitalist trend to consider. The adoption in general is very, very high in text, music, image, and videos. There is going to be to continue. Again, I don't have to touch that now, but I'm going to touch what the latest status in these technologies today. And then again, this should be the overview of the tranquility. Remember the question I told you before, yeah? The question is this. Secular trend plus catalyst trend give a hint what the market is today, yeah? Remember that. And then I'm going to give you the status of what is going to is happening today. So hardware progress. Now, you name it. Obviously, GPU is the main hardware component to both train and use. It's called inference. When you use ChatGPT in real life, that is called inference, for example. And there are few players. One, obviously, the infamous NVIDIA. The other is AMD, and the other is Intel. Okay. Now, long story short, AMD is catching up, but the current available is called AMD MI300X. Is currently somehow on par of the latest in pair of the platform called H. H stands for Hopper, 100 and 200. However, the next generation NVIDIA, which is supposed to enter in the market in January next year, is supposed to be 4x in terms of performance compared to the NVIDIA H100, which is now. That's in large configuration. I'm going to talk about that later. Intel is lagging behind, unfortunately for them. And the other aspect to consider is the data centers demand is growing. Depend on the scenario. This is is from McKinsey. It's between 90% year-to-year growth to 27% year growth. And most of that, when I see most of that, it's between 30 or 40% of this growth in data center building construction. By the way, to build a data center from inception to actually live is between 1 and 2 years. Most of this growth is driven by the demand of AI. Okay, when I say most, between 30 to 40% of these, data center growing demand is because of AI. 30-40% responsible of the total growth. Now, what we need to understand for this, when I say there is in these new AI GPU data centers, the important thing, and when you buy a chip, this chip doesn't work alone most of the time. Yeah, it works in what is called a cluster. So basically, multiple GPU put it together form a cluster. Okay. Now, the new version of the GPU are optimized to work together. That's why if I say on the left, on large configuration means 50 or more, or 30 or more GPU working as a cluster rather than single standalone. Okay, when the new platform or GPU will be optimized to work together, therefore the performance improvement we will have if they putting together in a cluster. What I mean by that is in a cluster situation, you have 4x in performance. If you put a standalone, the performance is still significant, 1 to 2x, but will be less. Another things to consider, AMD is catching up, but roughly speaking is one generation behind. At least that's what is today. The other important thing is that the new generation, at least from NVIDIA, which again is supposed to come next year, they should have at least when they pack it together in a cluster, should have a reduction in consumption at least 8x. Therefore, if you read in the news about energy consumption of AI, I think it's overestimated, because all these prediction of AI consumption is linear, based on the consumption of energy of the GPU of today. Now, if they realize that the Blackwell in January has 8x less consumption, that is, and you can understand that probably you're going to overestimate the energy consumption for AI cluster and all data center on that. So for large clients, NVIDIA will be the way to go because of the improvement of performance. For more client, probably AMD or few other players will be still considerable. AI model advancement. Again, I don't have too much time to spend on that, but the important thing, as we say, again, I stress, if you want a better overview, we publish every year the state of AI every January. It's still relevant today. It's free from the website. You can download it. But again, what we say since last year, and we predicted, we were very true on that we are gonna see open weight models or open model in general catching up with the closed ones like OpenAI, GPT-4, or all of that. Yeah. Hey, exactly what happened today. Okay, there are a lot of smaller open source models that now perform similar to the closest one from OpenAI, for example, or Claude, or things like that. Okay. What we see in the last months of September, October, actually there are plethora a new model coming into the market, even for big players, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them are open weight. Open weight means just the source code of the model is not revealed, but the I would say the train model is open to the public. Okay, but you don't know how it's been trained. Is a concise summary of that, but it's roughly true. So, as I say, big player coming in the market of releasing model. One is Alibaba, which kind of train a model called Qwen 2.5. NVIDIA, which basically is a fine tuning of the Alibaba model somehow. IBM. Cohere just released a new model. CMU is a new player coming to the market, and that's just for text or multimodal. Okay. The other aspect is video images. There are new players like Gemno AI that just released a module for video. Mistral is coming to the market, very famous for text or LLM, and now is also coming to the market to processing images. And there is a new version of Stable Diffusion 3.5. I think it released a few weeks ago. Now, another important news and development is from Anthropic Claude. Now they release a version that is able to basically you write a command or prompt on Claude, like open the browser and go to Google website or things like that, and save the first screenshot or something like that, and it can do it automatically moving your own cursor. Basically, that means the RPA business is in danger. You can think about RPA, robot process automation vendors. These are in danger because this will automate that. A runway or other version of some segment anything. There is a huge development on how you can generate video from another video or editing video in a way that you cannot do with classical software. There's use of on that is one exact one and some two. And then there are other elements for audio. I just put in the deadline, which now is able. There are software available today. They're able to from just voice description, like do I pick voice, feminine, 30 years old, and then you can generate directly from that doing that. It's available on the market as of today. This is the AI model advancement, AI adoption, industry. Well, industry, I have to say, contrary to what I thought, is at least from the survey, you can read today, is advancing very rapidly. In fact, due to McKinsey report, as you can see, is 72% of companies, they say they're using AI at least in one function. Now, as to be seen, is when they say using one function is live or just exploring, which is a bit on an ambiguity on that, but probably the reality is standing in between. I would say even 80% of companies at least are exploring AI, but the live predictable, the actual solution live is probably less than that. That's at least my take, although McKinsey said the opposite. One thing to remember: where are AI solution used in terms on operation? As you can see, again, I believe this is this is for Forbes. You can see that there are different the most used easy easy to use application is from customer service, basically chatbot or email chatbot or customer service. That's very easy to use and that's been adopted very well. But there are other services or operation they are not used that much. One is, for example, supply chain operation or recruitment. I think the reason for that is you need to understand, again, if you remember, one of the catalysts is regulation. There are operations in which are not truly affected by regulation, and therefore the application of AI services is more straightforward, while other, like recruitment, you need to touch sensitive data or people, they are touched by regulation, so there is a reluctancy of using AI to using that. Another interesting fact from BCG, for example, is that which I completely agree, is not about using the AI solution or developing the AI solution, is that with that, you need to retrain the people and the processes around it. If you don't do that, yes, you have a great proof of concept that works very well, but you cannot put it live. That's also why I do think there is a bit, when they say when McKinsey says 72% of the company actually using AI, a good proportion of them are still in proof of concept because retraining the people and the processes, it may take time. Another interesting fact of worked in business school and JBK is that most of these AI solution development happen in-house, not through external consultant, which I found very interesting. Again, AI adoption for consumer. Well, this is a bit of a debate, but I'll say that anyway. This is from Statista, April 2024. They basically claim that AI adoption for a consumer is quite low. Well, most of the that's very understandable. The younger population is using, for example, ChatGPT way more than the older generations, and that's very understandable. But I would say that these, first of all, remember, this is April 2024. AI moved very fast. I would not be surprised that, I don't know, 30-40% of the population at least touch one by the end of next year or even earlier. Okay. The other aspect on that is which country adopt AI more, and as you can see, this is from SimilarWeb, basically a website that track the traffic on website for ChatGPT. You can see that certain countries are using AI more than others. They are not the usual spot that you would say, right? Yes, there is United States, a 14% 0.27, but then the country that has most traffic for ChatGPT is India, and then Indonesia and Brazil. Now, it's a long story on that, but basically that means that the outsourcing company, the US or United Kingdom is a lot of outsourcing from these countries, India, Indonesia, or Brazil, and they are benefit the most rather than the company that commit the work. There are many reasons for that. It's a long discussion, but there are two main reasons. One is regulation. When you outsource, basically in these countries, there are less regulation on basically using these AI models. Therefore, when you are sourced there, you're outside the regulation kind of thing. And the other is, while it's not clear how to have an ROI or how to use AI, outsourcing company, they know exactly how to use this. I mean, it's straightforward for them to understand what's the return of investment for them. Basically, more efficient work for them, less manual work and more automatic work for them. For them is a more clear ROI than developing an AI solution internally here. AI devotion. I finish with that. Regulation and cyber. Now, obviously, like any new leading edge technology, AI is being used first by the first adopter are always malicious people like cyber criminals, and in fact is this shows very well from the chat GPT initiation. I think it was November 22. You go out huge peak in incident or reporting incident or crimes related to AI, put in that way. But the good news is, since July or August to 2024, this year, there is a sharp decline in news or incidents related to AI cybercrime. Now, you may say it's a coincidence, but this is exactly when the regulation come into place, at least in the EU. So I believe that if there is a good thing of regulation, is that now both cyber criminal and company are more cautious of using AI for malicious behavior, and that's create a good decline in incidents. And with that, I closed. I think a little bit over time, but that's okay, at least for today. If there is any question, I'll reply. Otherwise, thank you for listening. There is always a little bit delay, I can see that. And with that, okay, if you have any question, you can always write me. And as I say, this is a short version and should give you the idea what the status of AI today. Thank you for listening and speak to you soon. Bye.